Before we begin, this is a work of pure fiction, a fan-made tribute to the legendary film The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This is not an official lost chapter, but an imagined story that explores what might have happened if there was one more player in the deadly game for Carson's gold. Now, let's ride into the desert. They say 3 men fought for $200,000 in gold buried in Sad Hill Cemetery. They say it was Blondie, Tuco, and Angel Eyes. But they're wrong. There were 4. And the 4th was the most dangerous of them all. Her name was Sophia Harper. Some called her Granger, the Wanderer. She didn't just know where the gold was buried. She held the only key that could open it. This is the story they didn't tell you. The story of the good, the bad, and the beautiful. The year is 1862. The Civil War rages across America, and in the chaos, fortunes are made and lost in a single gunshot. Bill Carson, a Confederate soldier, stole $200,000 in gold coins and buried them in a grave at Sad Hill Cemetery. But Carson was a cautious man. He didn't just bury the gold in a coffin. He locked it in an iron strongbox. And he gave the only key to the one person he trusted, a woman named Sophia Harper. Sophia wasn't like other women of the Wild West. She didn't wait in parlors or pray in churches. She played poker in smoky saloons, rode faster than most men, and could shoot a silver dollar out of the air at 20 paces. Carson loved her. But when the war came calling, he rode off promising to return. He never did. He died in Tuco's arms, whispering the name on the grave, Arch Stanton. But he never mentioned the key, because by then, Sophia was already gone, vanished into the desert with the key around her neck, unaware of the fortune it could unlock. Meanwhile, Blondie, the man with no name, and his reluctant partner Tuco had discovered the location and the grave. But when they finally reached Sad Hill, they realized something was wrong. The coffin was there, but inside it was a locked iron box they couldn't open. No amount of shooting or prying would break it. Blondie's cold blue eyes narrowed. Someone else knew about this gold. Someone who had what they needed. And that someone was about to change everything. Blondie tracked Sophia to a dusty saloon in Santa Fe. Information wasn't hard to buy when you had Carson's name and a handful of silver. The bartender told him about the woman who wore a strange iron key on a leather cord around her neck. A woman who won more poker games than she lost and never stayed in one town for long. Blondie pushed through the saloon doors just after sunset. The place smelled of whiskey, sweat, and tobacco. In the corner, playing 5-card draw with 3 drunken cowboys, sat the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. Dark hair cascaded over her shoulders. Her eyes were sharp as broken glass. And there, glinting in the lamplight against her chest, was the key. He approached the table slowly, his spurs clinking with each step. The cowboys looked up, recognized the cold look in his eyes, and quickly folded their hands. Smart men. Sophia didn't flinch. She laid down her cards, a full house, and raked in the pot. Then she looked up at him. "You're either very brave or very stupid to interrupt my game, stranger," she said, her voice smooth as aged bourbon. Blondie tipped his hat. "I'm looking for Sophia Harper." "You found her. What do you want?" "That key around your neck. I'll pay you for it." Sophia laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a storm. "That key's not for sale, cowboy. It was a gift. From Bill Carson." Her smile vanished. Her hand dropped beneath the table, and Blondie heard the unmistakable click of a pistol hammer being pulled back. The saloon went silent. "How do you know that name?" she whispered, her voice now ice cold. Blondie raised his hand slowly, showing he meant no immediate threat. "Because Carson's dead? And the treasure he promised you? It's buried in Sad Hill Cemetery, in a grave marked Arch Stanton, in a locked box, and you're wearing the only key." Sophia's eyes flickered, shock, grief, fury, all in the span of a heartbeat. But she didn't lower the gun. "If you think I'm just going to hand it over, You're dumber than you look. Blondie smiled for the first time. A thin, dangerous smile. I don't want you to hand it over. I want you to ride with me. We opened the box together. We split the gold. $200,000. Half for you, half for me. And what makes you think I can trust a man who walks into a saloon and demands a woman's necklace? Because if I wanted to kill you and take it, you'd already be dead. It was a bluff, mostly. Sophia studied him for a long, tense moment. Then, slowly, she lowered her pistol. You've got nerve, stranger. I'll give you that. All right, I'll ride with you. But double-cross me, and you'll die slower than Bill Carson did. Blondie tipped his hat again. Wouldn't dream of it, ma'am. And so, the unlikely alliance was born. They rode out at dawn, two ghosts moving through a land torn apart by war. Blondie didn't talk much. He never did. But Sophia wasn't the type to fill silence with chatter either. They were both loners, survivors, predators in a world that ate the weak. But slowly, during the long days and cold nights, something shifted between them. It started small. Blondie sharing his canteen when hers ran dry. Sophia spotting a Union patrol before they stumbled into an ambush. They worked together like two gears in a deadly machine. Efficient, silent, synchronized. One night, camped beneath a sky full of stars, Blondie lit a cigarillo and handed it to her without a word. Sophia took it surprised. It was a small gesture, but in a world where trust was rarer than gold, it meant everything. Why'd you trust Carson? Blondie asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sophia stared into the fire. Because he was the only man who never lied to me. Everyone else in my life took something. Bill? He gave, even if it was just a promise. She paused. Guess that promise is all I have left of him now. Blondie said nothing, but something in his eyes softened, just for a moment. Days later, they were ambushed. Angel Eyes, the man in black, the most ruthless killer in the territory, had been hunting Blondie and Tuco for the gold. And now he'd found a new target, the woman with the key. His men came out of the rocks like vultures. Bullets tore through the air. Blondie and Sophia dove for cover, returning fire. It was chaos, dust and blood and gunpowder. Then Sophia saw it. One of Angel Eyes' men had a clean shot at Blondie's back. Without thinking, she screamed his name. Blondie turned, but he was too slow. Sophia fired first. The man dropped, but in that same heartbeat, another gunman fired at her. Blondie didn't hesitate. He threw himself in front of her, taking the bullet in his shoulder. They both hit the ground hard. When the dust settled and the gunman lay dead, Sophia crawled to Blondie. Blood soaked his shirt. His face was pale, but his eyes were still sharp. You fool, she whispered, pressing her hands against the wound. Why'd you do that? Blondie coughed, a bitter smile on his lips. Couldn't let you die. You're the only one with the key. Liar. He didn't argue. That night, as Sophia stitched up his wound by firelight, something unspoken passed between them. She realized she was falling for this silent, dangerous man. And he realized that for the first time in his life, he cared about something more than money. It terrified them both. They arrived at Sad Hill Cemetery 3 days later. The massive circular graveyard stretched out before them like an arena built by ghosts. Thousands of graves, thousands of stones, and somewhere among them, Arch Stanton. But they weren't alone. Tuco was already there, shovel in hand, grinning like a madman. And standing across the circle, dressed in black, was Angel Eyes, his cold eyes fixed on Sophia. So, Angel Eyes said, his voice smooth and deadly. The man with no name finally found himself a weakness. Blondie's hand hovered over his pistol. This doesn't concern you, Angel Eyes. Ride away. Not without the gold, and not without the key. Tuco laughed nervously, glancing between them. Hey, we can all share, yes? Plenty of gold for everyone. But no one was listening. The wind howled through the graveyard. Ennio Morricone's iconic music swelled in the background. The haunting wail of the trumpet, the rising tension. 4 people, 4 guns, 1 treasure. Sophia's hand tightened on her pistol. Blondie's eyes never left Angel Eyes. Tuco looked ready to bolt. Angel Eyes smiled like a snake. And then, Angel Eyes drew first, aiming not at Blondie, but at Sophia. He knew. He knew that she was Blondie's weakness. Blondie moved faster than lightning. He didn't shoot to kill Angel Eyes. He shot the gun out of his hand. An impossible shot, the kind only a legend could make. Chaos erupted. Tuco dove for cover. Angel Eyes roared in fury, clutching his shattered hand. And Blondie grabbed Sophia, pulling her behind a gravestone as bullets flew. When the smoke cleared, Angel Eyes was on his knees, defeated. Tuco had already started digging up the grave, and Blondie and Sophia stood together, alive. The iron box was opened. The gold was real. $200,000 in gleaming coins, glittering in the setting sun. Blondie divided it in silence. Half for him, half for Sophia. She stared at the bags of gold, then at him. This was it, the end of the road. "So, what now?" she asked quietly. Blondie looked at her, really looked at her, and for a moment she thought he might ask her to stay, to ride with him, to build something that wasn't about gold or guns or survival. But he didn't, because men like Blondie brought only danger, and women like Sophia deserved better. "You take your half and disappear," he said, his voice rough. "Somewhere far from here, somewhere safe." Sophia's throat tightened. "And you?" "I keep riding." She wanted to argue, to tell him he didn't have to be alone, but she saw it in his eyes. He'd already made up his mind. So instead, she stepped forward and kissed him. Once, soft and bittersweet. When she pulled away, she whispered, "Goodbye, Blondie." He tipped his hat. "Goodbye, Granger." And then he mounted his horse and rode away, disappearing into the desert sun. Sophia stood there for a long time watching him go. Her hand touched the key still hanging around her neck. No longer a key to gold, but a reminder of the only man she ever loved. The good, the bad, and the beautiful. And so the legend ends, not with a happy ending, but with the kind of ending that legends deserve. Blondie rode into the sunset, alone as always. Sophia disappeared into history, her fate unknown. And the gold? Well, that's a story for another time. Thank you for watching this fan-made tribute to one of the greatest westerns ever made. If you enjoyed this tale of love, gold, and gunfights, leave a comment below. What other classic westerns should get the romance treatment? Until next time, ride safe and love dangerously.